Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another edition of the All We Do Is Talk podcast. We're here with a Week 17 review. Some people solidified their spots, and other ones, night.
Choked it away.
Yeah, I'm here with Mooney and Isaiah. How we doing today, guys?
What's good, y'all? Happy New Year, 2022. Wishing everybody a great year ahead.
I hope everybody's enjoying the football season because this is it.
Hey,
it's just about over.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, share,
comment,
get the interaction up. Let's go. We see y'all out there enjoying the content, so share it and let it be known we got good shit going on over here. All right, Eric, what game we got first?
All right, let's start with the Las Vegas Raiders heading to Indianapolis, where Moody was the only one to get this right. Vegas winning the game 23-20.
Yeah, what I was saying on the preview show is that Carson Wentz ain't the type of quarterback that need to be missing a full week of practice. And I think that showed out here in a big way. Their offense struggled. They did a good enough job on Jonathan Taylor. And that's the only way to beat the Indianapolis Colts, is to slow down Jonathan Taylor and make enough plays on offense. That's what they did out here. All the Colts players, prime-time players, were coming off the COVID list. None of them really looked like they had their legs and their wind underneath them. And the Raiders managed to steal a game that they absolutely needed. I thought Derek Carr was the better quarterback. He going on the road in a nice dome where he could just try to make plays down the field. Hunter Renfrow was fantastic once again. And just another big-time win for the Raiders and Derek Carr, who's having a phenomenal season.
Yeah, as Moody said, as we've seen this year, quarterbacks coming off of missed games have been really rusty. And Winston practiced all week, so their offense looked a little scattered. Looked like they were whatever they practiced, he wasn't a part of. So he had a mediocre game, meddling tear game. And Derek Carr, he came through, but I'm gonna shine the light on Mr. Hunter Renfrow, who was matched up against the first-time Pro Bowler and one of the most underrated players in the league, Kenny Moore. And he took him to the woodshed and he beat him up all day. He had the explosive game winner on him. Tough to see Kenny Moore losing that matchup so outrightly to Hunter Renfrow. I think Hunter Renfrow is good. I don't know if he's good to be one of the best slot cornerbacks continuously.
He's been killing all year, though, man.
But wait for him to take advantage of the Henry Ruggs situation, because now he's going to get a good bit of money, because he's going to at least at worst get a Cole Beasley bag. So good for him. And Derek Carr, way to save the second half of the season, coming off of all the tragedies and craziness that happened. They had the little tailspin where they lost a few games, including one to the Giants somehow. And then they picked it up and they have a chance to go to the playoffs.
Yeah. Also, another really good game, a good game from Zay Jones. He had 8 catches for 120, being explosive. But I don't know about holding Jonathan Taylor. He still averaged 5.5 rushing per attempt.
Taylor
gonna be Taylor, man. But they won the game. They won the game.
They kept him off the field, which is good enough. Ball cap. Playing defense with your offense is just as good too, which is kind of what you do for a running offense.
Yeah. All right, let's keep it moving to one of the many meaningless games in this week. The Bears came out and mollywopped the Giants 29-3.
I mean, game was over after the first play. Mike Glennon sack strip that gets returned to the 1-yard line, and then just get it going. Chicago gets it going. Chicago didn't even play a great game. Andy Dalton was good because he got lots of opportunities, including the second drive coming off an interception. So they started 2 consecutive drives within the 20, one on the 1-yard line. And the game was over from the start. Giants didn't do much here. The biggest headline is that Joe Judge is out there begging for his job in the post-game press conference, saying that players are begging him to come back or saying they wish they were still there. Not many good
those players' opinions matter.
Not many good players outside of Dalvin Tomlinson and Kevin Zeitler that have left the Giants have been good. So of course they're actually to come back. They're probably out of the league. So for him, it might not be fair, like I said about Cliff Kingsbury and Zach Taylor. You usually need 3 years to get it flipped. But if this thing goes really bad, he might get fired. I think he's safe, but who knows? He at that post game, he looked like he was worried. And as for the Bears, Matt Nagy's going to be fired after the game's over on Sunday for them. So, and they went 4-2 with Andy Dalton and Nick Foles this year. Who would have thought it?
Yeah, I didn't watch a ton of this. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I just had Isaiah Moore just complain to me in the background about what was happening, and it sounded like it wasn't good. I can't imagine. Mike Glenn's not going to be winning any football games for anybody.
Oh, he's for sure the worst quarterback. He's the worst quarterback.
There's nothing they can really do there. He turns.
Oh, and he got hurt, so Jake Fromm is actually taking over for him next week.
He's supposed to be the veteran who can go out there and just get the ball to the receivers, but he ain't come close to doing anything like that all year. It's a rough year for the Giants offense. I think Saquon Barkley probably had his best game
That
of the
happened.
season.
The Giants rushed for 150 yards, so the game went by kind of fast.
Yeah, so the Giants, Saquon had his best rushing game of the season. Maybe if he could get
value up,
if he could get out of the season healthy and enter next season healthy, maybe he can have a bounce back next year. But for the Giants, it's just their season's over, and that just it was even more proven here. Obviously, for the Bears, another meaningless win, but they want to beat up on the Giants who have their first round pick. I understand it. I respect it.
That's the worst part of it is that we gave the Bears a free win.
So the Bears came out there and said we gonna stomp y'all out for this, and that's exactly what they delivered here. A fantastic performance from the defense. Offense didn't really have to do anything because the Giants set them up in the red zone.
Robert Quinn broke the record for most sacks in a single season for the Bears.
And Robert Quinn has earned every bit of his massive paycheck this year.
Yeah, I mean, this game was brutal. I mean, Mike Glennon had half of his completions. He had 4 completions, 2 interceptions. I mean, that's all you can say about that man. I don't know how he's still in the league.
He wasn't out there getting it done.
So, yeah, this game was brutal. I wanted the Giants to win to help the Panthers get up a little bit more, but y'all had no hope. No hope. All right, let's go to probably the most interesting game in the 1 o'clocks. Tampa Bay edging out the Jets 28-24, and AB put on a show.
Does the game even matter? Does anybody actually remember
the Jets should have won? The Jets should have won the game. The Jets were in control all game long.
It's a classic Tom Brady. We're playing with our fool early. We struggle a little bit when it's time to get the job done and finish y'all. We're going to finish off because they're not a good team. The game doesn't actually matter. Mike Evans came back from COVID list and a hamstring injury, scored a touchdown. Fantastic. Other than that, Tom Brady was making plays with receivers you've never even heard of before to score touchdowns to get the job done for them. Defensively, their beat up team struggled against a bad Jets offense. Surprisingly, Zach Wilson managed to make a couple more plays in this one. It was just a really, really strong effort from the Jets on the offensive end. Defensively, the Jets don't have much talent. They fought as long as they could for the first two plus quarters, but when Tom Brady decided to get it rolling, the Jets couldn't stop them. Jets covered, Jets kept it competitive, and they lost. So that's the best that you can say of them. For the Bucs, it's all about Antonio Brown. I think we can all agree he's played his last game in the NFL.
I'm actually on the other side. He will play again.
I don't think he plays again after that. I think he blew his last opportunity. It's really, really sad to see someone struggling with, I'm assuming, mental health issues because
be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if you're crazy, I'm going to call him being just crazy, a mental illness of some sort.
Don't let mental healthness be an excuse for bad.
It's not an excuse, but like, come on. Ever since Montez Burfict hit him upside the head, we ain't seen
he was a problem for Pittsburgh before. They just held it on the wraps.
So he got hit upside the head, and they couldn't hold it on the wraps anymore.
No, they just let the problem when they were holding it on the wraps. They let the problem get bigger and bigger and bigger.
They even paid him,
and
then Clark told him not to.
And then it became uncontrollable. They created that monster, and then they let him out to the world.
And then the Oakland Raiders.
Tom Brady did it to himself.
He tried. He won a Super Bowl with him. Something no one else could get done. So Tom stood to go for that.
Yeah. Other than the fact that the Jets put on a competitive showing, surprisingly, and probably ruined a lot of parlays covering.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown went crazy and was walking out the field. I believe he'll be back because Josh Gordon kept coming back. What's the guy that was on Seattle and y'all from San Francisco back in the Jim Harbaugh days? The pass rusher.
Oh.
Alden Smith. Alden Smith's been back. Everybody in the NFL that has shown any ability to be all pro gets as many chances as they want. Somebody will bring back T.O. Mike Tannenbaum was on ESPN letting y'all know that he'll be back. He'll be back. He might, and I don't think Tampa Bay has not officially cut him because I don't think they want him to go to Green Bay. So I don't think Tampa Bay will cut him. I think they'll hold on to him, they'll suspend him, and then they'll cut him. But other than that, Tom Brady gets out, and I can say that I don't think the Bucs are going to win the Super Bowl because I think they're just too banged up this year. So sucks for them.
Yeah, with Tampa Bay being banged up, that helps my Packers pick for the to represent the NFC. But yeah, AB off his meds. I don't know what, but he is on another level. Everywhere he goes, he's excited to be there, and then he spends 2 days there, and he wants to be free. I mean, I don't understand it. I think the Facebook Live was in Pittsburgh was just
ground zero.
Yeah, that was the start of the deterioration of Antonio Brown. All right, let's keep it going. We're going to go to probably the best game to help my standings. We had a push on the total. I had the over. The boys had the under. And Atlanta covers by a half a point, losing 29 to 15.
Yeah, that's exactly. You won by Atlanta.
Is this how you
losing.
felt when that Detroit covered that 8.5? Would a mean backdoor cover to start the year?
It's just this is just how it happens, bro. This is why calling the NFL is a total crapshoot because lines can explode to crazy numbers. This is what I was saying about Jacksonville and New England when I wasn't betting it because some crazy shit like this might happen. And this is the crazy shit right here. The Bills were obviously
Better.
100% the superior football team. Josh Allen ran for a couple of touchdowns, continues to look like white Cam Newton. But a couple of bad turnovers by him, and I'm going to be upset at him for it, allowed the Atlanta Falcons to hang in a game technically that they were never actually in. Buffalo continues they solidified their playoff spot. They're probably going to solidify the division. Solid win for them. For Atlanta, Kyle Pitts' first rookie tight end to over 1,000 yards, I think was the stat. He had a fantastic season in a season where nobody else was really that good. Cordell Patterson, I think, scored another touchdown in this one.
No, it was Mike Davis.
Mike Davis. But like Atlanta's had some positives this year, but they were just going up against a much better football team here and took the L.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Atlanta. Good season for Atlanta. No one thought they were going to be better than everybody in the division except for maybe the Bucks, because I think they'll be better if they beat Tampa, New Orleans next week. They'll have the same record and they swept them.
Yeah.
So they could technically be the second place team in the NFC South. And nobody saw that coming. So good for Arthur Smith. That's a coach I like. Kyle Pitts, he better be breaking records because you didn't take a quarterback or a tackle over him. So he better be a premier position type of player. Also, did they take him after Chase?
No,
You even took him before all the receivers, so that should be interesting to see how that works out moving forward. Interested to see where Atlanta goes with the quarterback position. Matt Ryan looked serviceable, top half of the league still.
Someone can use a Matt Ryan,
but he looks like he's declining fairly fast. And who else would it? Oh, we're talking about
Buffalo.
Buffalo. They just dominated the game. Josh Allen had a bunch of bad turnovers throwing the ball. He dominated them on the ground. And I think they just played big brother to Atlanta. They just kept them at arm's reach and finished the game off.
Yeah, I mean, the secondary did their job against Josh Allen. If you're Atlanta, the rushing defense giving up 4 rushing touchdowns is not what you want. But yeah, I think you start to question even though we had 1,000 yards, taking a tight end over what you see some of these rookies doing, I think you can question for Atlanta, taking them over Rashawn Slater, taking them over Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith. I mean, so many guys.
I will say about the receivers, though, is that the receivers are playing with better core. If Kyle Pitts was in Cincinnati, he'd probably still be just as unstoppable.
He'd probably give him up the Chase numbers. He'd probably be putting up the Chase numbers.
Yeah, so I'll say that about the receivers, but the tackle and the quarterback, I'll definitely agree right there with that.
Yeah. Even a Micah Parsons.
Ooh, they could use a Micah Parsons. They could use a Micah or Patrick Surtain.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for getting it done, Atlanta. I appreciate you. Yeah. All right, let's go to the nation's capital where the Philadelphia Eagles edged out the Washington football team 20-16.
Yeah, this game wasn't as close as the scoreboard indicates, as Washington had to hit a mean backdoor. They backdoor covered to get back in this.
Washington was always up
until Philly took control of the game in the second half, and then they were kind of just
no. They were, and I think they went up 21, and then they went up 3-4. I think they went up 1 and went up 4, and that was.
They kicked the field goal.
Yeah,
because I thought Washington scored a touchdown at the end of the game.
No, Washington didn't score any points in the second half.
Yeah, so Washington was up all day. This was the secondary background game. So Moody was watching the actual good games, but it was nothing going on in this game like that, really. Washington
just playing with a bunch of backups.
Surprisingly fought hard because I think Washington was good, but the injuries came for them. And Philadelphia played terribly. Their pass offense is probably, other than Mike Glennon with the Giants and the other bad teams that are just rookie quarterbacks and other disqualifiers, like the best starting veteran quarterback is probably, that's the worst at passing, is probably Jalen Hurts. Their pass offense is practically irrelevant. But they have a great offensive line and good at run blocking. So they dominate in the trenches. And after they got a couple of turnovers from Washington, and it was easy. They played them a couple of weeks ago. So not surprising.
And another team that flew in their own benches In the NFC East tradition.
And they almost got Jalen, and then Washington almost killed Jalen Hurts with fans.
you know that building's abysmal.
I've been there. Yeah.
But yeah, Washington is hurt, injury riddled. But for the Eagles, if I'm a higher seeded team, I'm playing next week to try to match up with the Eagles.
That's the weakest team in the playoffs.
Yeah,
that's the weakest.
So,
they have a good offensive line, so you could get finessed.
I forget who it was on First Things First today was saying the Bucks wouldn't beat the Eagles in the playoffs, and that was just ludicrous. But let's keep moving on. The games. Let's go to the game of the week, in my opinion. Kansas City heading to Cincinnati. Cincinnati getting the dub, proving it to Moody, 34-31.
They went out there and proved it. Although I think Kansas City really decided to just do it to themselves. And it's shocking to see a team like Kansas City, who has teams play them the way they do, and they decide to play Cincinnati the way they played them. And they deserved the L that they took today. Kansas City was. I felt like the whole day was the better football team. They were up the whole game. Patrick Mahomes was making plays with everybody. He was getting everybody involved, making plays on the field. They had a really, really hard time stopping him outside of getting some good pass rush because his OL didn't really play that well. But the story of this game is how they defended Ja'Marr Chase defensively. We saw 11 catches on 12 targets, 266, 3 touchdowns. They had no chance, no opportunity of slowing him down at all, and they really didn't try to. Kansas City's cover 0 one-on-one man blitz game plan. It's one of the worst defensive game plans you'll see of this season. And you saw what happened. They just attacked Javarius Ward with Ja'Marr Chase one-on-one back shoulder fades. They got 20 yards to pop on like 7 of those. He took a slant route 70 yards to the house because we know Ja'Marr Chase is capable of doing that. Just
in the busted coverage.
And in the busted coverage.
Which started it all.
Just an unbelievable game from Ja'Marr Chase, who had his second just absolute dominant game of the season. Clear Rookie of the Year winner, but I'm disappointed in Kansas City for deciding to play a game plan like that.
I mean, this was my question, even though I had to pick Bengals to try to match Eric in points. How was Kansas City going to – I picked Kansas City because I was trying to match – you picked Cincy, so I was trying to match you in points. I was telling you, how was Kansas City going to guard those receivers?
So they chose not to. That was the game plan, not to.
And as I always tell Moody, they moved towards doubling Chase or bracketing him, and then T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd started going off. So they just went out to playing them man-man and man-to-man all across the board and blitzing. The problem is they didn't need to blitz because Chris Jones was having a monster game. So there was no reason to blitz.
It was an awful game.
But Steve Spagnuolo, he likes to attack. Actually, no, I'm confused. Steve Spagnuolo
he doesn't like to do that. He likes to play coverage.
That against great offenses. But currently they thought that was going to work. And it didn't. Cincinnati's receivers won every time. If it was a jump ball between a Cincinnati Bengals receiver and a Kansas City DB, the Cincinnati Bengals receiver won it every time. And the Kansas City DBs were trash. They're not good. So this is the scariest thing about Kansas City is that their secondary is not good. Tyrann Mathieu is the best thing they got.
And he didn't have a good game.
We saw more Sorensen on the busted play to Chase, messing up. It's not a good secondary. So I was surprised. I wasn't surprised that the receivers dominated them, but I was surprised that Kansas City got stopped more in the second half. And I'm gonna give props to the Bengals defense.
The pass rush,
luckily for them, a couple tackles for Kansas City dipped out halfway through the game. So
before the game.
One literally before the game, yeah. So good game for one of the best free agent signs of the year, which is definitely Trey Hendrickson. People doubted him. Way to emulate his breakout season on the first year of the contract. We'll see if he continues to be a great player.
Especially because the guy he replaced towards Achilles, he didn't play at all.
Yeah.
So poor Jets.
So yeah, big win for Cincinnati, showing that they won't let down. But Kansas City, they didn't beat one team that won a division this year or is leading them
No, they beat the Cowboys.
I'm talking about in the AFC.
Yeah, they didn't beat any good AFC teams.
And technically, the Bills haven't won the division yet, but we're assuming that's going to happen. But they didn't beat Tennessee, Cincinnati, or the Bills. So how good are they? We don't know.
Yeah, what I took out of this game is Joe Burrow is my comeback player of the year. It was just an electric performance. It's crazy the connection he has with Chase. It's unbelievable. So I think he is being incredible. winning the division. I think we all predicted the Bengals to finish last in the division this year. But yeah, I at the beginning of the year, I had this as a prove it year for the Bengals, as a let's see what we have type year. And we're all seeing what they have. All right, let's keep it moving. We'll go to a blowout, a prediction that I almost had right as my Jags getting shut out, but the Patriots lay the wood down and beat the Jaguars 50-10.
I think the Jags led 3-0.
What I was about to say the same thing.
The Jags led 3-0. And
that's
that's the only positive thing you can say about what Jacksonville did in this game. I'll say I thought Trevor Lawrence showed some ability, showed some of his number one overall pick talent with some of the throws he was making in that game, but he also showed some of his rookiness with some poor decisions and some poor throws.
No, the Patriots had that Damian Harris drive, but they came out right away.
The Giants were 7-0, so they only now 7-3.
Yeah,
they were in the game. They were in the game at some point
because they showed up.
That's the best thing you can say about that. Jacksonville's the worst team in the league. They're going to be the number one pick again. Clear cut. It's really, really sad to watch them play. Laquan Treadwell has become the best receiver on the team. That says everything you need to say about what's going on.
I didn't even know he was in the league still.
He didn't know he was in the league, Isaiah. He didn't even know he was. He didn't start the season in Jacksonville.
He was in Atlanta last year, and he's been jumping back and forth between teams because he's a borderline starting receiver. And
no, not borderline starting. He's a borderline NFL rosterable player. That's what Laquan Treadwell is, and that's the best weapon Trevor Lawrence got. So how were you going to compete with New England today? And they obviously didn't. New England had been struggling a little bit. This is the classic get right game. Just go smack down a bad team that's got no hope. And Bill Belichick did his very best, and they took care of business here.
Basically, Jacksonville pulled up on some Marshawn Lynch shit. You know why we're here to get our ass. Trevor Lawrence in Gillette in January against a Patriots team that's going to the playoffs, no chance, no contest, game was over. And like Eric said, technically they didn't score over 3 points. They scored a garbage time touchdown, like the definition of a garbage time.
We've seen New England make sure people don't do anything at all for 60 minutes. So
they do it.
You'll take it. You'll take it. You'll take it.
Can you imagine being down 50-3 and score a touchdown on the screen?
That's what watching the football team did on Sunday Night Football last year. Yeah, so you'll take it, Isaiah. You don't want to be out here down 50-0.
Yeah, good luck, Jacksonville. They're picking number one overall. They probably won't pick the best player in the draft.
They need to trade
they have
back.
No track record of ever drafting the best player in any draft, and they've had lots of chances to do it in the last.
No, they took Jalen Ramsey.
Is he the best player in his draft?
Goff, Wentz, Bosa, Zeke, Stanley, Buckner. No, I think
Buckner's better.
I take Ramsey, but he's probably the best guy. And they took him.
Okay.
Then they traded him because that's what Jacksonville.
Okay. So the one time of the other 10 times, so they pick in the top 10 every time
year.
except for 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
They've never done it. So they did it one time because they might have got blessed that the Cowboys took a running back. And two quarterbacks who got traded later on also got one before him. So we'll save that for other. But Jacksonville, good luck. And for the Patriots, they're going to the playoffs. They probably won't win a game, but you never know.
Yeah, there's not much more to say about this game. I mean, I consider my bold prediction correct.
It wasn't bold. And we're going to continue to tell you that it really wasn't bold.
Anyway. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's go to Nashville, Tennessee, where Tennessee is getting right, getting back, ending Miami's playoff dreams, beating them 34-3.
This is what Tennessee do. They beat good football teams. That's what they did here. Fortunately, some rain came in there as well. They kind of muddy up the Dolphins' RPO offense. Completely took to it out of rhythm. Could barely grip the ball when getting handoffs, let alone try to make plays down the field. And with Tennessee's run defense and pass rush, they just made life way too difficult for Miami. Tennessee scored 34 points, but I think that was more off of their defense making a bunch of plays. Tua threw a pick six in there, I think. I think that was more of the product of that than any outstanding offense that Tennessee had. But Tennessee did more than enough. Ryan Tannehill did more than enough to get the job done here. Tennessee's a good football team, and if they win on Sunday, they seal the 1 seed in the bye. They might be getting Derrick Henry and Julio back healthy. Tennessee could go to the Super Bowl if they can get right in the playoffs when it matters most. For who did Tennessee play? for Miami.
You want to forget about it already.
Yeah. Wonderful, amazing win streak. Obviously, can't take any away from them for what they did. They won 7 in a row for losing 7 in a row. That's hard to do. Hey,
Mike Glennon.
They had to go out there and get the job done.
They beat Lamar and the Ravens before they went totally
before they went full haywire. So I'm going to give Dolphins credit for bouncing back. Going to give Tua credit for helping bounce back this team, because a large part of that 1-7 start was because he wasn't around. Him being back, they were well over 500 when he played. So I'm going to give him credit for that. But Xavier Howard and Byron Jones on defense just had a hard time dealing with the physicality of an AJ Brown, physicality of the Titans offense in general. Is a little bit difficult for that team to figure out, and they didn't get their chance to get into the playoffs this year. They're still going to be a really good team, and they just need to put some more talent around Tua, specifically on the offensive line, and I think they could be a playoff team next year.
Yeah, so I'll start with Miami and their most meaningless 7-game win streak of all time. Hey, good way to save the season, because they gave away their first-round pick, so they had no reason to tank it out. So, I mean, and they gave a pick to Philly, so I'm going to clap y'all up for trying. You get points for trying for this one. Tua was terrible in this game because the offensive line doesn't protect well, and they don't run the ball. So they got to get better in the trenches for Miami, because who knows? I'm not crazy about Tua. I think he's limited, so maybe they trade for Deshaun Watson, but they really should be attacking that offensive line and figuring out what they could, and get some weapons that could stay healthy. The Devontae Parker, Will Fuller time, it's time to let go of that.
They got nothing out of either of those guys.
They got Gesicki, they got Waddle. Now go get a solid number one, and maybe another tight end that can run the block really well. As for Tennessee, hopefully they get healthy and they're healthy as they could be for the playoffs. Mm-hmm. If they could have Tannehill, Lewan, Henry, Julio, and AJ Brown out there, I'll give them a chance, as long as they can keep Simmons and Byard healthy on defense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Moody was saying about Byron Jones and Xavier Howard. I mean, Tannehill only threw for 120. It was Foreman running for 132 that did this game. But yeah, good win for the Titans. I don't know how they could possibly be a dark horse as the 1 seed, but it still feels like that, where people don't see them as a Super Bowl threat, which I do. But yeah, good for the Titans, and if they can get healthy, they're going to be dangerous. Because if you get a fresh Derrick Henry who doesn't have the whole season fatigue, they could be really dangerous.
Yeah, one thing about Tennessee, though, is like you could see them losing to anybody, because so that's their only skill. There's a formula to beat them that I can see the Colts or New England, who are the lower seeds, if they were to win and go straight to the 1 seed, that's a matchup problem.
The problem is, and of course, Tennessee beat all the good teams, and they're going to play all those teams again. It's going to be hard. It's going to beat a bunch of good teams again after you ran through them all in the regular season. Yeah.
They'll be fired up. You won't be catching them sleeping on you.
Yeah, and as for Miami, way to not just give up a top 10 pick. Good job. That's about all you can say for them. All right, let's keep it moving. We'll go to Baltimore, where the Rams just edged them out, winning 20-19.
The Rams tried their hardest to lose this game, but Baltimore is just so bad that they couldn't. Stafford played, I think, probably his worst game of the season.
It wasn't worse than the Minnesota game, but they were close. They were close. Yeah. Minnesota was terrible.
Minnesota was pretty bad too. I thought this one is just with the matchup. I thought he should have played better, but maybe the West Coast East Coast thing got Matthew Stafford a little bit out of sorts. But he struggled to take care of the football here. You can't turn the ball over the way he was turning the ball over and expect to win football games. Luckily, Baltimore is just so hurt that they couldn't take advantage of it. If they even have Lamar, they probably win this game by 2 or 3 touchdowns. But because they're so injured, there's nothing they can really do out here. LAR's defense won the day. They got a better defense across the board. They're playing against Tyler Huntley. They just made sure to get enough stops until their offense finally figured it out. Odell with the fantastic route in the red zone to go get the game-winning score, and just good for LAR for finding a way to win when they didn't have their best stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give them the credit for continuing to show that they can win with just their pure talent, which is always risky. I mean, coming across the country is always tough. And Baltimore is going to fight you with anybody, I guess, because they've given everybody a fight every week, no matter who they have out there. I will say Stafford and the offense, Stafford was 14 for 14. The run game was better in the second half. So when it was time to get out of their slump and Baltimore gave them the opportunity throwing that bad interception, they just did what we all thought they did. They played with their food for a little, and then they got out in the end because they were better. So I mean, a win is better than a loss. They needed a win to keep control of their destiny, and they did what they had to do. It wasn't pretty, but they got it done. Big game from the defense, but I'm still going to put out there that I thought that Jalen Ramsey had a pretty subpar season, especially since I picked him for DPOY. He was not as crazy impactful as he's ever been.
I think changing his position probably hurt that.
Yeah, he was also throwing hands with his own teammates. Anyway,
he did. It happens, apparently.
But Shannon Sharpe said it happens all the time.
But congratulations to Isaiah's bold prediction. Cooper Kupp got halfway there. Good job. But yeah, they're just a better.
They only tried for a half.
But yeah, they were just a better team. So good for the Rams to keep it going. I mean, they need all the wins they can get. I mean, they're still fighting off. They're still fighting off the Cardinals, so they needed that. All right, let's keep it moving. Denver heading to Los Angeles. Los Angeles takes care of business 34-13.
Yeah, Drew Lock ain't a starting front. It's not a starting NFL quarterback, and he was going up against one of the very best quarterbacks in the league, and that the scoreboard reflects just how wide the chasm is between those two football teams, those two quarterbacks specifically. Sucks for Denver because Denver probably has a playoff caliber roster, just not a playoff caliber quarterback. And then the quarterback they went with suffered a devastating concussion and got knocked out for a couple of games. Overall, I thought this has been a good season for Denver. They beat the Chargers last time, so they've shown the ability to hang with them in a game, but just the COVID stuff that they're dealing with, along with the injuries to their quarterback, and they traded Von Miller and all that stuff. They weren't a team that was really, really wanted to fight to be in the playoffs, but they gave it their best fight for the whole year. For the Chargers, much needed bounce back win coming off that terrible game against Houston. They got their players back, and Justin Herbert looked a lot better at home against a beat up Broncos team. The Chargers just took care of business here because they have a significant quarterback advantage, and they're pushing for the playoffs while Denver is heading home.
Yeah, I'm just trying to check and see. I can't remember if they scored a defensive touchdown because I know they had the kick return. Okay, so I was going to say they might have scored in all three phases, but they didn't. I know they had the kick return, which blew the game open. Mm-hmm. Drew Lock was terrible in the first half, put up some nice garbage time to put some good numbers up. Got a pass from Kendall Hilton, who played quarterback from last year, who's the receiver. That's just crazy. He'll be sticking around the league, and he'll be a trivia question of how he got here. But the Chargers played a complete game. Offensively, they were dominant from the start. Defensively, they were dominant from the start. They're just so inconsistent. They're going to win the award for most inconsistent team of the year. I'm going to give it to the Chargers. I want to see them in the playoffs because clearly I picked them to go to the Super Bowl, but it's going to be tough. I think they're better than the Raiders, but it's going to be tough to see how that works out. We'll see how that works out. And as for Denver, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson.
Get on the phone.
Yeah, make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, I was waiting until we covered all these teams, but if somehow, some way, the Jacksonville Jaguars beat the Colts next week, the Raiders and Chargers, if they tie next week, they're both in. So we'll find out.
They're division rivals, so they won't want them to both. They'll play the game out still, just because Raiders fans won't stand for it.
But I just thought that was funny.
That's funny.
And that game happens after the Jags game. So if Jags somehow, some way pull it out, be like, hey.
Here's the funny thing, Eric. The Jags haven't lost to the Colts in Indianapolis in 4 years.
Yeah, nuts.
Including last year when they won their only game at the Colts. So, hey, they're streaking they've been running in that building for a little bit.
Yeah. But the better team won in this game. I mean, the Chargers are the more hungry team. They still got a playoff chance. So, and Drew Lock stinks, just flat out stinks.
No arm talent.
No interception.
He has arm talent. He was making just as impressive as deep ball throws as Herbert, except his accuracy is nowhere near as close. Which is when you really can see arm talent versus like elite arm talent. Precision and arm strength.
All right, let's keep it moving. Let's go to Santa Clara. San Francisco beats the Houston Texans 23-7.
I think the story here is Trey Lance and him getting his second career start First career win. He went up against a bad football team, took advantage and put up some fantastic numbers. Give him a lot of credit. Lovie Smith loves to play that too high zone, but he still averaged almost 11 yards an attempt. Took advantage with his legs. They ran for 175 yards as a team. Just really, really good stuff on offense. 400 plus yards. They took care of business on offense. Probably just they were moving it so easily and just ran the clock out. So they probably why they couldn't put up more points. Defensively, they handled a rookie quarterback at a offense without a lot of weapons on it, even with getting Brandon Cooks back. Rex Burkhead doesn't look like Adrian Peterson anymore suddenly. And that Houston, they're 4-12 for a reason. They aren't a very good football team. They weren't going to go on the road and beat a very good San Francisco team.
I was wondering why you were talking about Rex Burkhead. I forgot that. Yeah, last week he had a big game. The Texans, Davis Mills looks like he can play. Trey Lance, who I was high on, I thought he was the best quarterback in the draft. He's in the best situation, so luckily for him, he got to show out in this game against a bad team. I don't think he had an amazing game. He made some eye-popping throws, but he still made some bad decisions. He's a good runner, athlete, but he's still really raw. As for the other weapons, I didn't see much from Ayuk in this game, but definitely saw a lot from George Kittle and Deebo Samuel.
Ayuk had 94 yards.
Who?
Yeah,
Ayuk was the leading receiver.
I know. I'm looking at the stats, but I really don't remember him catching anything important. I remember the plays for Kittle and Deebo Samuel. I don't remember the Ayuk plays, but really they were playing the Texans, so not all of this is all relative. Good win for San Francisco. I think they can they still win the NFC West? I don't think anymore.
I don't think so.
Because they're 2 games behind the Rams.
Yeah.
Because if they had swept them, they could. And if the Cardinals had lost out, something like that. But they could try to jump the Cardinals, or I don't think they can do that either. They're in the play. They kept their playoff spot. They kept their playoff spot.
They can only win 10 games, and Cardinals and Rams both have 11. So they're just making sure they get in securely.
So they can play spoiler for the Rams next week, and they can get ready for playoffs. They're probably going to be playing Trey Lance, so that should be interesting to see how he handles the pressure being tossed in for the second half of the season into the playoffs. So we'll see how they work that out.
I thought I saw something where Jimmy G is playing, but excuse me. Yeah, the 49ers took care of business. I mean, the Texans, Davis Mills is probably who they're going to keep going with until Deshaun Watson stuff's all figured out. But
is he their team MVP?
Huh?
I think it's Brandon Cooks more than it's Davis Mills.
Brandon Cooks. I said he's either team MVP.
But, yeah, let's keep it moving. We'll go to Moody's game where the Cardinals beat the Cowboys 25-22, and Kyler keeps dominating in AT&T Stadium.
Yeah, that's his building. Apparently, he owns it. This was just a classic case of just classic Cowboys missed opportunities in this one. 6 penalties on the offensive line, all coming on third down. On third downs, they converted. Just unacceptable. You can't win with that happening. That's going to cost you points. The Cardinals completed one of the greatest fake punt completions in the history of football with one of the greatest catches from a guy that I guarantee you don't know the name of. But
I guarantee he might not even be in the league next year.
But he made the play, and it allowed the Cardinals to pull off their best game plan. That's play ball cap to the Cowboys offense. They won the time of possession by over 10 minutes. They ran the ball really, really well. They made enough completions on the second and third and longs to keep their drives alive. The Cowboys defense really just didn't show up in this one overall. Didn't get a lot of pass rush against a banked up offensive line. Cardinals scored on, I think, 7 of 9 drives. They killed the last 5 minutes of the game. They didn't make enough plays on the defensive end, no forced turnovers to go out here and really, really get the job done. For the Cowboys offense, the Cardinals fluked into 6 batted balls. You rarely see someone get 6 passes knocked down, but that's what they pulled off here.
Without JJ Watt.
Yeah, and that got them enough stops in the first half to hold off the Cowboys' offensive burst in the second half. I thought the run game continues to be non-existent for the Cowboys. They really didn't try to do so, and when they did, Zeke averaged less than 2 yards a carry. Pollard only averaged like 3 yards a carry. They couldn't get anything in the run game going. Passing-wise, when the Cardinals didn't bat down the ball, they made more than enough plays to try to get the job done. But with Arizona playing ball cap offense, and the batted balls and the penalties, the Cowboys just didn't play well enough to get the victory here. For Arizona, bounce back in a big way. They really, really needed it. They ran the ball fine. Kyler, I thought, played a very clean, efficient game. He got away with a red zone interception because the Cowboys dropped it, another missed opportunity. But he played well enough, and Matt Prater outplayed the Cowboys kicker well enough for them to get the job done.
As a fan, I'm never surprised when the Cowboys let down, because the Cowboys have let down with talented teams lots of times in my life. As an analyst, am I surprised by the outcome of this game? I was. I don't think the Cardinals match up really well with the Cowboys, so I was shocked to see that pass rush be neutralized by Kyler Murray's mobility. I was shocked to see that their secondary was getting torched by AJ Green and company, Christian Kirk. I was shocked. It was a shocking performance by the Cowboys if just looking at it from an analyst perspective. But as a fan, the Cowboys let down often. Their coaching is a little subpar, and the referees tend to discipline them harshly, to say the least. As for the Cardinals,
because Chase Edmonds fumbled that ball, but okay, whatever.
As for the Cardinals, I mean, they needed the win. I don't know how they got it. I don't know how they pulled it off. The game plan worked. This is probably a momentous, probably the biggest win in Cliff Kingsbury's career.
I don't know about that. They stomped out LAR. They got a couple of good wins.
They got a couple good wins, but this might be the one. In the end, this is just what in the end, what I think this is just a pretender bowl between two teams that probably won't be going to the Super Bowl, probably won't be going to the NFC Championship game, and probably playing each other in the first round now.
That's the most likely matchup.
It's tough because apparently Kyler Murray does not lose games in Jerry Jones' building, so he needs to go trade for Kyler Murray ASAP.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed watching this game. Kyler Murray did really well. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a good game. Yeah, I liked it.
I thought it was pretty sloppy.
But yeah, I think the Cardinals, were they ever down in this game? No.
No, they got up big and just held on.
Yeah. So yeah, good job showing Kyler that he can play big games at the end of the year. He looks probably the healthiest he's been since his injury, probably in this game, I think.
He ran around. I'll agree with that.
Yeah. So, and yeah, they ran the ball well, and good on them. I mean, I think this is a big win for Arizona to keep pace. And I mean, because the Cowboys already have the division locked up, so they're kind of cemented in their seeding. Or they lost the 2 seed in this game, right?
Yeah, we're the 4 seed now.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah. So good on Arizona, and yeah, fading Cowboys. Love to see it. All right, so let's go to where the wagon was stopped at a screeching halt. The Seahawks gave the Lions the business, 51-29.
It's not surprising I picked Detroit. So they had to go out there and make sure to get embarrassed. I thought Russell Wilson in his last game at home would try not to care. It looks like he cared a lot. And he made sure to just detonate all over the Detroit defense. They didn't stop anything. They didn't stop the passing game. They didn't stop the run game. Didn't stop anything. All day long.
Seattle.
All day long. Didn't stop nothing. This looks like the Detroit team that we all expected to come into the season. This like the Detroit team that's one of the worst teams in the league, despite their great record against the spread. This is a bad football team playing a bad game against an elite quarterback, and they got toasted, just absolutely toasted. And offensively, they weren't going to score 51. So, I mean, come on. Like this, Detroit clearly ran into a buzzsaw here. People talk about Russell Wilson's last game in Seattle. Seattle really, really put on a nice performance here to end their regular season at home. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and what I didn't account for is that this is probably the last game of Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson both. I don't think neither will probably be in Seattle next year. So this was probably both their last games. So they get a nice little, as we'll talk about, as I'll use an excuse later, a game that meant nothing, but actually has lots of significant meaning to the fans and the players, but means nothing in the grand scheme of the playoffs, which, you know, these are still humans. So DK Metcalf finally escaped from whatever torture chamber he's been hiding away in all season long. Maybe if they used them like this all year, maybe they would have had better offense. This Seahawks team isn't the Seahawks team that we've seen all year. And this isn't the Lions team we've seen all year. I thought 2 anomalies because of the situations. For the Lions moving forward, the best team to have under 4 wins that we've ever seen. And as for the Seahawks, the most disappointing season in the Pete Carroll Russell Wilson era. At least it ends in a W at home.
Yeah, I mean, Rashad Penny ran over the Lions, having 170 yards and 2 tutties. It's pretty much all you can say about this game. No wide receiver for the Seahawks had a great game. I mean, Metcalf had 3 touchdowns, but only 63 yards. So, yeah, I mean, the Lions, it hurt. I should have switched my pick once I heard Moody go Detroit. But, you know, you live and you learn.
That's why I go last in Detroit picks now.
All right, so let's move on to – it's no longer my pain. I enjoy watching Carolina lose now because I need that draft stock solidified, where they lose to Taysom Hill and the Saints 18-10.
Yeah, just this game went about as expected. You can't expect Carolina to do a whole lot on offense with their little QB platoon and the fact that the Saints have a really, really good defense. That's what happened here. The Saints defense basically won the game single-handedly. They ran the ball well enough to get the job done. I thought Carolina's defense did step up and play a good football game, but with the handicap that they're getting from their offense, is really not a whole lot they can do. New Orleans continues to fight. I think they still have a backdoor chance of getting to the playoffs if they win.
They need the finesse.
If they win and get a whole lot of help, they can finesse their way in. For Carolina, like Eric said, they need to be moving up the draft boards as much as possible. We're comfortably inside the top 10, and with the loss this week, maybe they can move into the top 5.
Yeah, it was 10-18, so it was a terrible game. Clearly, yeah. Taysom Hill, Sam Darnold, Cam Newton. You can imagine that the passing was barn burning compared to Cincinnati versus the Bengals. I mean, Cincinnati versus Kansas City from earlier. So this is exactly what you needed after watching that. But good defense all around. I think the Carolina Panthers have the best young defense in the league. And I think the Saints have a good young defense. We're a little older in the front seven, but a good defense. So, I mean, that's what you got, a defensive struggle between two teams with quarterbacks who can't really throw accurately. So I'm sad because Carolina should have covered it, in my opinion. They were up for the most part until they let the Saints just beat away at them because they were better. And tough. So both these teams aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
So just who do the Giants play
maybe the last thing. Huh?
Who do the Giants play next week?
Washington football team.
I hope y'all get it done. Because then we jump to 5.
Good luck. I mean, of course, I'm upset that Carolina didn't win because they didn't. It doesn't really matter for me. I have 2 picks in the top 10, so wherever it goes, we move where the other team moves. I'm mostly mad at Seattle because they put on that terrible performance against the Bears that they could have brought for the Lions, and I would have preferred if they got slips. But it is draft status.
But yeah, I mean, Carolina, they're doing their best. They look to be stuck in the 6th spot right now. But yeah, I mean, with no Christian McCaffrey, and if you have Sam Darnold and Cam Newton as your quarterbacks, you're going to lose a lot of football games. So not much to go on that. I really have nothing much to say on the Panthers. They're just an epitome right now.
I will say, like I said about Joe Judge earlier, I mean, it's only year 2. So both him and Matt Rule should get a year 3 because both of them have gone through some crazy stuff. But the pressure's ramped up apparently that Matt Rule's not – he's feeling it too. So we'll see how that goes.
Our owner has buyer's remorse.
Yeah, he's gone.
That was a report. There's no way that he would have let that. No, these owners are fickle like that. So
exactly.
Not everybody gets years 3 just because they deserve it. So we'll see about Matt Rule's coach status after this year. How you feel, Eric? Should he be coming back next year?
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's drafted well. I mean, I don't see like he hasn't had any big busts in the draft, so like he knows what he's doing a little bit. But
the further you get away from college, the less that usually starts sticking around.
Yeah. Because these are guys that like he tried to recruit and stuff like that. So But in the draft, I don't know whether they want to go offensive line or quarterback. If they don't pick one of those 2 positions, I'm gonna fucking lose it. But but yeah, I mean, I also depends if like Evan Neal somehow falls to us. I mean, I would take that. Or what's the guy from Mississippi State? Like Charles Cross, something like that.
I haven't dove into the draft yet.
It's NC State. I know who you're talking. He's from NC State.
Mississippi State.
Oh, the other guy.
Yeah, those are the 2 top tackles. Or I wouldn't be mad with Kenny Pickett, but we're getting too far into draft talk.
I think Matt Carroll's the guy for y'all, but yeah, we'll save the draft talk for when the season's actually over for everybody, not just a couple teams.
But all right, let's keep it moving. We will go to Sunday Night Football, where the Packers took care of business, winning 37-10 over the Vikings.
I mean, what did we really expect here? Sean Mannion was starting at quarterback. This was the easiest lock of the week of the season. Even if Kirk Cousins played, there was no way Minnesota was walking into Green Bay and competing in any way, shape, or form in their biggest game of the season. It sucks that Sean Mannion had to start in Minnesota's last chance to secure a playoff spot. You hate for the cold list to come for you at the worst possible time, but that's what happened here. For the Packers, Aaron Rodgers, I think probably just sealed up the MVP. He's been fantastic all year long. The Packers are going to be the 1 seed clearly, and the Super Bowl runs through Lambeau Field once again. So great season for the Packers. Minnesota they got to make a decision on Kirk Cousins, I think.
Yeah, you said there's not much to say about other than the fact that Green Bay handled business. Now, I will say the game was a lot closer in the first half, and Sean Mannion just did nothing. So maybe it could have been Kirk Cousins could have made this a game. Maybe that's why I felt, and I thought Mike Zimmer's defensive game strategy was decent. So I mean, it is what it is. It didn't happen for them. I picked the cover wrong, I guess. But yeah, Minnesota's gonna have to figure out. They're gonna blow this up. They're gonna blow this. Minnesota probably should blow this up. And for Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers locking up the MVP. We'll see what his future holds, because definitely not a Super Bowl probably for them.
Yeah, I mean, the Green Bay Packers did what they had to do. I mean, there's not much to say on this. Aaron Rodgers is the MVP. Yeah, I mean, Vikings, the COVID list just came at a terrible time. But do we really think Kirk Cousins in prime time was going to come in here and get it done?
No.
He could have covered. He could have covered.
He could have covered, but
lost respectfully. That's what they do with Kirk Cousins. He was respectfully.
The Vikings needed a little bit more than a cover. But, yeah, did they lock up the 1 seed? Did that wrap it up? Yeah.
Yeah, they're good. They're good.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, let's go.
That's 3 straight 13-win seasons, too, so congrats to that.
Yeah, let's move on to the Monday Night Football game, where the under hit by 1 point. Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Big Ben's last game at Heinz Field, and they pull it out 26-14.
I mean, yeah, there's no way
No way,
Cleveland's walking into Pittsburgh. No way, no how that Cleveland's walking into Pittsburgh on Big Ben's last night and getting any sort of W. No chance. And that's 100% what happened here. Even I had the bold prediction that Ben would go off. They certainly tried with 46 pass attempts, but the man didn't even average 3 yards at the attempt because he's done. And he's on his way out of the door. Congratulations to Mike Tomlin on securing another non-losing season. It's what they do. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is how they get the job done here. I expected Pittsburgh to win the game here because their defense will get the job done, and offensively they could do enough. That's what happened here. Best game of the season, I think, for Najee Harris. They fed him, and he made more plays in this one than he's been able to make against better defenses. For Cleveland, Baker's finally going to have the surgery he should have had 3 months ago. Probably cost himself millions of dollars, but he's going to be looking to bounce back. They didn't really feed Nick Chubb, which was disappointing after Dalvin Cook just had 200 yards against him like 2 weeks ago. For them to really not try to be hardcore into the game plan of feeding. They got down early, but they really didn't feed Nick Chubb the ball. It was disappointing. Yeah, overall, good. Just Pittsburgh gets the job done again. They always beat Cleveland. Ben Roethlisberger always beats Cleveland outside of the playoff game last year. And Pittsburgh's going to do their best to try to sneak back their way into the playoffs again.
Yeah. I mean, I picked Cleveland like the jackass I am, but I will stand by that. If this game mattered for Cleveland and they were in contention, they would have tried harder, and I think they would have been better. That's what it's proven. The player of the game definitely is TJ Watt. He's going to go for that sack record that I'm going to pray that he doesn't break. So I'm going to hopefully that he leaves one of those first quarter nagging injuries that handles that. So, but yeah, 4 sacks for him is pretty amazing. He probably locked up the DPOY too, which is crazy to think that he waited for a meaningless game to do that. But we'll see how they feel about giving it to a player who isn't on a playoff team. Maybe they pull things off and they make Pittsburgh Steelers a playoff team. They could do that too. But whatever. Ben Roethlisberger has been a Roethlisberger. He's a controversial figure to say the least.
And most will see 2 more games of him.
I won't say I'm a fan.
How can you be a fan? unless you were a Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Yeah, but good career for him. A very overrated Russell Wilson-like career for him, where he might have got carried in the beginning, and then when he became good, people thought that, hey, he's good now, so he must have been carrying the whole time. But, we'll see how that goes on for him moving forward if he does any broadcast stuff. But that's it for him in Pittsburgh. And as for Cleveland, I don't know.
Season's most disappointing team?
I think the Giants are pretty disappointed.
Nobody
thought the Giants were going to. A lot of people, people really didn't think that.
I never expected the Giants.
The Giants are the worst team in the league right now. That's what they're playing now.
It's Jacksonville. Y'all just starting Mike Lennon.
That's where
the Giants teams with actual.
No one thought the Giants would be playing Mike Lennon in the end of the season.
If you was a quarterback, y'all chose for Mike Lennon to be our backup quarterback.
I would say Seattle's probably the biggest disappointment.
I'll even give Seattle Passers lost their quarterback for a month.
But Baker got hurt, so their guy.
But he played all year. he just got going back out.
Yeah.
They actually won the game he didn't play. So
as for Cleveland, you heard the list: Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Derek Carr, Russell Wilson.
Get on the phone.
Matt Ryan, get on the phone, make it happen. As for Baker Mayfield,
would you give up Myles Garrett for one of those quarterbacks?
Hell no.
Not even for Deshaun Watson?
No, especially not for this. If they told me I could have no, I think Russell Wilson's too old. I think
That's why I say not Russell. Probably not Aaron.
And I think Deshaun Watson's just in a situation that's too risky. So maybe Derek Carr is the person you're talking about, and you won't.
No, I wouldn't do it. That's what I'm saying.
Get on the phone, get a quarterback. Hey, if you believe in Baker, you took him number 1 overall. He hasn't proven to be complete broken yet. Maybe you can keep working with him. But
I think they give him another year.
Yeah, I don't know what Cleveland's gonna do. I think their coach is overrated. I think their quarterback's overrated. So you're kind of stuck running in the mud like Minnesota. When you have your coach and your quarterback at a certain peaked at a certain level. But you can go ahead, Eric, and tell us about this. Massive.
I mean, I think TJ Watt will get the sack record, and you can't have the excuse, oh, they had an extra game because he was out.
No, he didn't play on 17. He didn't come close. He's played like 13 games. That's really? That's the crazy thing. He's going to break it in like 14, 15 games. It's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, so you won't have that excuse at all. But yeah, he's clearly, I think, the defensive player of the year. That Watt family genetics are just built different. But yeah, Baker's
built so differently that neither were the top player at their position taken in their own draft. Neither were even the top 3. TJ was 5.
I'm sad. We don't got to talk about 2017 class last night.
And we don't even got to talk about that 3 tight ends got picked. 3 bust tight ends got picked over TJ Watt too. We don't even got to talk about that. They didn't believe. They didn't believe.
That's why you see how bad he stayed bad.
What TJ Watt is now is not what he was coming out. He's a lot bigger than he was coming out.
He always had the physical tool. He was always a freakish athlete like his brother was.
But he wasn't
as big. He just wasn't as big. But you can always get bigger in the NFL.
But I don't give Baker the injury excuse because there was one play where he lowered that left shoulder down to try to run someone over.
He's pretending to be tough. I don't know why. Like the man played on a sling, a brace all year. I don't know why he chose to play because that's why he's not going to get the excuse from people.
Yeah. So
who's trying to fight through his team? They don't have a backup quarterback that's the best quarterback in the league. Oh wait,
think about it. The last memory of Baker Mayfield before this year would have been what they was doing to Pittsburgh. Like that would have been your last good memory of Baker.
The last good. I remember what they did at Kansas City.
Barely remember the Kansas City. They should have won the game, but people rarely remember what they did against Kansas City. You remember Baker Mayfield for a really good second half of the year without Odell.
Skip Bayless won't let you forget about it.
But now he threw all that away.
He'll be fine. He could always have a Drew Brees like career arc where he has to go somewhere else and get saved.
Maybe
he better find his way to New Orleans.
All right, I think that's it
because we've all pretty much accepted that Aaron Rodgers is going to be the MVP.
Yeah.
All right. So is there any other award? Any awards you want to predict?
I want to see it last week
before you hand TJ Watt the DPOY.
Before, the two because
what's up for grabs still? I think DPOY is up for grabs.
And defense.
OPOY.
And comeback.
I don't think Offensive Rookie of the Year is up for grabs, to be honest.
I think Michael Parsons is the only person that's locked up his award. That's the only person I say has.
I think Micah and Aaron have both locked theirs up. I think Chase has locked his up too, and we'll see how they feel about Dak versus Burrow.
I think Mac Jones can use his quarterback will to try to not end up like Baker Mayfield, the last guy that got picked over at skill position. And I think Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, Nick Bosa. No one's talking about Nick Bosa. He's had a hell of a year, but no one cares about Nick Bosa, I guess, because he doesn't play quarterback. Because he can't throw the ball.
He don't throw the ball. It's unfortunate, Isaiah. You hate to see it, but that's just the way it looks, especially because with some of the performances they've had on defense. It's just like maybe our quarterback would have been more impactful.
All right,
like a Patrick Mahomes, the year they took Nick Bosa, but it is what it is.
That was Tomlin Thomas. That's Tomlin Thomas.
That's Tomlin Thomas.
That's even worse. Kyler Murray.
That's still
but yeah, you get the point.
It's still not great.
Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson should be playing for the San Francisco 49ers, and they shouldn't have had to trade it for him. Yeah. Anything else, Eric?
No, that's a wrap.
All right. We'll see y'all for the last
week of the regular season.